Hello, bright and shiny beacons of light. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
Jessica Lee.
Doo-doo.
Yes, we have matching glasses.
So I guess her contacts are not working today. They're supposed to be arriving today.
Yes, they're lost in transit.
Yeah, okay. On that wonderful note, is there anything that you wanted to share before we dive into things this evening?
We're getting ready to launch our manifestation masterclass.
Woohoo! And that'll be I believe, launching in 2 short weeks. We should have a webpage up on that in the next day or two. Limited spots left. It's only open for 15 people. Anything else that we should share about it?
You worked on the lesson plan 2 weeks ago. Do you remember that?
I've worked on a lot of lesson plans.
That would be a no.
No, but we outlined the whole program. We went over what the first few weeks are going to be. If that's what you mean, then yes, absolutely. Very excited about it. It's really going to help you, as we're talking about this evening, is going to help you come up with what you want to do, find a way to help you get there. Lots of law of attraction work, manifestation work, intention setting work. But really what's cool is we're going to be working together as a group to help you achieve your goals, doing group intention, group meditation work. Like a mastermind that you'd find, like a Napoleon Hill mastermind, we're going to all work together and be able to give advice together to help everybody grow and achieve their goals. So, okay, so have I lost you already in La La Chatland?
Well, I saw Keegan, and we haven't seen him in ages.
We haven't seen Keegan in ages. So we have regulars, and hope you'll become one of the regulars. And I think a cult fan is actually regulars as well. Yeah. So... all right, welcome everyone. Let's talk. It's the beginning of the, oh my God, I was going to say it's the beginning of the fall. Don't say that, Michael. We've still got a week or two left before the fall. I love the fall colors, but I am also a heat lover. So it's kind of a bittersweet time of year. I love it all. I love it all. It's cool that here in Colorado, Basalt, Colorado, where we found out Nancy Levin, who we interviewed today, also lives for 3 more weeks. But the smoke has passed, and that's a mighty, woo! That's a mighty, woo! That's a mighty, woohoo! Is there like a string in back here?
It was more like a button. You were.
That was easy. So, with that said, why do we want to talk about setting you up for success in the fall? Because in the summertime, it's kind of a time to play, a time to have some fun. I think all year should be a time of play. However, we're not too focused on our goals. And that doesn't mean we have to have a goal other than being and feeling better and greater happiness and joy or deepening our spiritual practice. But with that said, we tend to be a species of doers. We like doing things. We like achieving things. We like reaching goals. We don't usually think about that in the summertime. Fall comes along, or more specifically after Labor Day, and this is being recorded the day after Labor Day, we tend to get in high gear. It's go time, it's achievement time, it's doing time. Now, of course, if you've heard any of our other shows, any of our other interviews, or Ask Michael Anything, I like balancing the doing with beingness. So it's not about putting the gas pedal to the metal and just mashing it down, but there is a certain amount of wanting to do or achieve or build or create something in the fall. That's what I want to talk about. With ourselves, I always like to begin with a story. I remember back to our days on Maui. Jessica, do you remember our days on Maui?
Yes.
And do you remember how many things we tried to launch in the fall in the past?
I think we were trying to launch something all the time.
We were trying. Well, the key word is trying. But what happened is we always missed our, quote, fall deadlines. Historically, every single time we tried to actually release something in the summer, it came out mid-fall. And when you release like a barefoot running DVD and you release it mid-fall toward winter, right, doesn't do so well.
After the first snowfall is not good.
When you release a mindful running program, which is designed for summer as well, and you release it mid-fall, doesn't do so well. What was going on? Well, the most important thing is we weren't stepping back and we weren't hitting the pause button to ask, what do we want to do when? What's a big picture? You've got a huge grin, which always makes me beget, is there a question?
No, there's no question. I'm just having a lot of fun.
Okay, well, that's good. And so it is so important as you come into the fall to take time with yourself, with your partner or loved one, whomever you're working with, and to dive deep and ask, what do we want this fall? Draw it out, doodle it out, make a mind map, which means get a large piece of paper, put a stick figure at the center or draw a bubble at the center with what you want, and then make a circle and hub with all of the key pieces so that you can see it there. Note, I'm not a very linear thinking. I get a lot of stuff done, but I don't do it in a list format. Why? We don't actually think best in list. It's something we were taught as kids. You got to make a list. You got to make an outline. But the truth is that's not how we look at things. For instance, if I was to give you a pop quiz and say, right now, tell me the first 10 things that are in your fridge, you're not going to read off a list to me. You're going to go into the fridge in your mind's eye, and you're going to look geographically at what's where. When you make a mind map, when you draw things out in a piece of paper and put them geographically in different places, it's always intriguing with what's going on here next to me.
I'm going to go grab your mind map.
Ah, she's going to go grab a mind map. So I'm on 2 mics at once. I'm not sure what that's going to do with things. And I've saved some of the best mind maps are actually in the drawer in the other room. None of these are the exceptional. They're fun. Oh, that's a really fun one.
Well, but there are names on
No, go a couple pages. That one looks like a really fun one.
It's not really a mind map. That's more of a list.
It's more of a list? So I have some of the best mind maps in the other room. So we put, what is this, Cowboy Michael in the middle, and it's how to finish the magical morning routine. And we laid things out around the center so that you can see what goes where or know geographically what gets to get done. It's better than a list. You can look and see, oh, that's just sweet, how to heal your heart. You can look through here and see, I call this my doodle pad or my doodle timer. And so I use drawings to graphically represent what I want to get done where. And I'm not as artistic as Jessica, so if she can get involved with a mind map, it tends to always go a little bit better. Even my stick figures are a little challenged. Okay, so we want to doodle. We want to draw. We want to get, I'm telling you, the best ones I saved in the other room aren't even in there because these tend to have a little bit too much text because I'm not as graphic savvy as you are. All right, so you want to sit down. She's going to look for a better mind map. And you want to ask yourself, what's my SMP? What is this?
This was before we moved.
Oh, wow. And so, okay, so if we point out, what do we have in here? Storage, house, where, deposit, utilities, truck, the two of us.
This is my favorite.
Home sweet home with a kitty. That was done by clearly the artist in the family here. In fact, looking at this, almost all of this was done by the artiste in the family. Yeah. So, all right. We want to come up with an SMP for the fall, a single-minded purpose, your one biggest specific goal. To help you do that, it actually helps to take inventory in many key areas of your life. Now, I'm going to teach you a little bit about a process we have called the Woohoo 8. And I'm not going to go into full detail, but I'm going to talk about 8 different categories you can go looking in to figure out what your goal is this fall. And I call them wealth categories, because wealth is more than just how much money we have in the bank. So this is an exercise you can do over the next week, over the next 8 days, is to write down in 1 or 2 of each of these categories what you would like to see this fall. The first off is time wealth. So what are you looking for in terms of how much time you'd like to be, how much time you'd like to do, how much time you'd like to spend with others? What would you like to see that look like? Health wealth. How would you like your health to be? How would you like your fitness to be for this fall? Physical wealth. That kind of goes along with health wealth, which is, are you trying to get back into sports? Are you trying to lose weight? What are you trying to do in terms of your physicality? Relationship and friendship wealth. This would be familial wealth. Are you looking to grow closer relationships with your family? Are you looking to make more friends? Are you looking to deepen your relationship? Financial wealth, of course. What are you looking for specifically in terms of your finances for this fall? Another similar one, business or career wealth. What are your hopes, dreams, and goals for your business? Are you starting a new business? What would you like to see take place this fall? I think I hear a Sir Meowsers in the distance who is having, oh, it's a love bug who is doing something creative. Spiritual wealth. Are you looking to deepen your practice? Are you looking to get into greater heart coherence? Are you looking to heal inner wounds? And you can actually replace physical wealth. You could replace that with mental wealth. Are there key areas that you need to go working on the inside? And creative wealth. Is there some art, something you're passionate about, some music, something that you do or want to create this fall? When you get this down, this is kind of, and you can do this as a mind mapping exercise as well, when you write about each of these key categories, it helps bring up what's most important for you this fall. Then you can start to put the whole thing together. I call this a mission statement. Your mission statement can start with 2 pages at first. It can then go down to 1 page. It can go down to a couple of paragraphs, and then you can even get it down to a couple sentences. The more concise you have your mission statement, the easier it is to have a goal to, a target to aim for. For ourselves, or speaking for myself personally, it's to help people to shine bright. What does that mean? To help raise consciousness, elevate humanity, and to help raise the vibration of the planet. And sometimes I change the wording around slightly, but that is my mission statement. That helps me choose everything. What does that mean for the fall? Well, if I know that mission statement, then I can ask, is this class that I want to teach in alignment with this mission statement? Yes, go. No, don't go. How about this shopping cart you want to work on, Michael? Wait, that doesn't quite fit in with my mission statement at the moment. For Michael, not for Jessica. Whoa, she likes the shopping cart.
I have a question when you have a pause.
When I have a pause. So write out this mission statement, and then each and every morning and each evening as well, write out that couple sentences again. This is similar to a Napoleon Hill exercise. And we're going to talk a lot more about law of attraction and manifestation next week, in next week's class. But when you write things out, there's a much more of an energy to it, a creative juice to it. Or I say that you're throwing a giant stone of intention into a pond of attention. A lot more takes place when you rewrite it out than if you just read something. So, okay, this might be a good place to pause. What was the question that we had?
Mia was asking if you could repeat the 8 wealth areas.
So, Mia, the 8 wealth areas are time wealth, health wealth, physical/mental wealth, relationship/friendship wealth, financial wealth, business/career wealth, spiritual wealth, and creative wealth. Now, these are the general categories we use for the Woohoo 8. With that said, when we were moving here, which is the mind map that Jessica was showing, when we were moving here, we had another category we called home wealth. And so we combined a couple so that we could find room to put home wealth in, because we wanted to write about what the home was going to be first, how the home was going to feel, what it was going to look like, where it was going to be, how every parameter around the house, and then how the move was going to go as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even drew a layout of, well, actually, that's for our next home.
That was cool. The compound with like little huts for guests or artists to visit.
For retreats.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And you had the garden in there, which I'm wondering if that was going to be environmentally or temperature controlled for the winter time.
A greenhouse?
Yes. You're one of those too. So you can write out in each of these categories. If something is more pressing in your mind, then you can replace one thing, put another one in. Doing this exercise really helps you ferret out what's most important for you this fall. Another activity that you can do is literally pause, but pause with meaning. That means set intention. I want to go out into the woods today. I want to go hiking. I want to go kayaking. I want to go running. I want to go for a bike ride. And I want to start to get an idea of what I'd like to do this fall, what I'd like to achieve this fall, what I'd like to see happen this fall, what would make me feel great this fall. Put it out there and let it go. And then see what comes to mind. You can do this as well in the evening. You can do this after you've done a meditation, like a 5-minute heart coherence meditation, or just quieting the mind of put out there. And you can even put it out there in prayer. Angels, guides, God, whomever, whatever you pray to, and say, I would like some guidance to come to me this evening on what's for my highest good and the highest good of all for me to do this fall. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go to sleep. Forget about it. You'd be surprised at how often answers will come to you when you wake up in the morning. I would highly, highly, highly recommend. Every single guest talks about it. My page has disappeared here. Let's see if I can find it again. Every single guest talks about it. I cannot recommend it enough. Get into a meditative practice this fall. When you're in a meditative practice, a practice where we hit the pause button, you are much more likely to step back and look big picture in your life rather than just hitting the gas and going from one activity to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. On top of that, can't recommend automatic writing or morning pages, or at the very, very least, journaling on a daily basis to ask, how is my life going? How am I doing? Where am I going? What haven't I thought about? What do I need to think about here? So that you can step back. There's another experience we had on Maui, which was we were deep into a meditative practice, which was awesome. I even held space at a meditation center. But what we weren't doing was having a daily practice to ask how our lives are doing, where are we going, how are things now, what do we want to see coming up. And because of that, time got away from us and we lost perspective and lost priorities. Setting yourself up with a morning routine can be massive in helping you do whatever it is you want to do this fall without all of a sudden being at Thanksgiving or Christmas going, where did the fall go? I didn't get done any of the things I was thinking about. Having a morning practice where you do get up a little bit early and have some focused time for you this fall. Before you're pulled 1,000 different directions by a million other people, having that time for you can tremendously set you up for success. With that said, a little plug for our evening routine. We have a morning routine program, but for our evening routine program, which is the best way to get you up early, is to get you to sleep a little bit earlier and get you a deeper, higher quality night's sleep. Success in the morning, success in the day, and success in the fall all begins the night before. With that said, what else do we have here? Put up reminders of your fall goals. Don't just write them out and forget about them. Put out reminders. Use sticky notes. Rewrite things twice a day. Have a mantra, or find some way to continuously remind yourself what is most important. In this world where everything is competing for your attention, the more you can do to remind yourself of where you want to go, the better. On top of that, last thing is invest in yourself this fall. Take classes, go to a gym, or do something that is oriented toward your improvement. Even if you improve just 1% a day, or even just 1% a week, you will feel so much better by the end of the fall, so much better by the end of the year, and you will be on fire. And I think this is the first time I've said this in months, come the new year. And I can't believe the new year is going to be here in only what, 4 short months? Sorry, everybody. Strike that from the record. With that said, I know you've been
in the present.
You've been busy in chat land here.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add before I do a little housekeeping and we go into questions with people?
Do you like this page?
I like, again, there's some that are more fun, but this works. This worked very well at helping me get things done on this day. So we have Michael on skates. I've got something coming up at 2 p.m. I want to make sure I have my daily wow posted. I need to get something recorded. We have to do QuickBooks. We have to do some thank yous on Patreon. We have a contact form that we've got to work on. Here are some guests that I needed to contact. Here is the truck, budget van lines, who I need to contact. This has to do with, I think, returning surfboards at Costco. We ended up donating them to people. YouTube Live. Having all of these down, even though this one is a little bit cluttered, having them down this way is like spreading everything out on your desk. So, see, this is a really easy one to see right here. This is a good example. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
I know it's really boring, but it's not cluttered, and it has just 8 or 10 key things on a page to do with mind mapping. You have your daily wow, you have an article, email review, measure feet. Oh, this is pre-skates. And so then it evolved into having my skates on. Oh, this is another fun one.
I like this one. Hair sample.
Hair sample. We never did that, did we? All right. Okay, moving on from mind mapping.
Oh, here's Costco. Here's Michael getting hit by plastic crates in Costco.
We were in Costco, and I was shopping for a surfboard, and apparently my higher self was saying that a surfboard is not in my best interest. And I took a hit, got a concussion, and needed to go to the hospital from a surfboard accident in the Costco aisle. Anything you want to add to that? And no, I wasn't on a surfboard. I wasn't even touching a surfboard. But they came after me and taught me a lesson. Anything else you want to add before we go into questions from people?
Well, Mia just asked, is it better to write them or speak them? Is writing them better than speaking them?
I love speaking everything. Obviously, I like speaking. That's my profession. With that said, I think there is something about making your hopes, your dreams, your goals physical by physically getting them on paper. Writing them preferred, typing them if, like me, you might be a really, really sloppy or slow writer. But that makes it more tangible and more physical. So speaking them to me is very close to reading them, which isn't as strongly going into the subconscious. Now, an exception might be if you read it with like Shakespearean prose, if you read it with iambic pentameter, there we go, there's Shakespearean. If you read it like a haiku, if you sing it, if you do something that adds depth and emotion to it, it may work as well. In which case, what I'd recommend is write it, speak it at the same time. Something I have been more than guilty of doing on occasion or two, haven't I? About reading what I'm writing while I'm on the computer and you're in the other room.
Yes.
But it does help affirm it. It does help ground it and make it stronger. With that said, let me review 3 quick things here, and then let's dive into questions from everybody. First off, magical evening routine for slumbery spiritual seekers, helping you set up an evening routine for success in your next day, and most importantly, helping you get a great night's sleep, something we could all use. That's going to be live in just a couple short weeks. That will be a video-based program where you can go at your own pace, click on one video, watch it, click on the next, go through at your own pace. Plus, we will have occasional classes on this as well. I believe it's going to be a once-a-month class on this as well. Then we have our Manifestation Masterclass. Super excited about that. That's going to be out in about 2 weeks as well. We're going to have information at InspireNationUniversity.com. Actually, InspireNationUniversity.com will be on the evening routine, and then we're going to have a web page on the masterclass within the next day or two, as quickly as Jessica can gentle, easy, good juggle all of these pieces. But those are 2 exciting programs for the fall. Sneak peek in January, we're going to have a coaching training program. So if you want to become a coach yourself, we're going to be taking on a handful of individuals, walk you through step by step. Not only will you become certified Inspire Nation coaches, on top of that, eventually you may be the coaches that coach other coaches as you get more experience, as you get a lot of coaching under your belt. And we're going to all learn and grow together as a coaching team as well. There'll be more law of attraction goodness coming up at the beginning of the year. We'll wait to tell you about that in a few short months. And if you want to support the show, come on over to patreon.com, patreon.com/Inspire Nation. Here's what's going on there. We have had a daily wow until about a week and a half ago. I actually invested in new technology so I can get you guys videos on daily basis and really take you out there in the field with us. I'm having some difficulties figuring out how to get the videos that I'm making in an expeditious fashion into our Patreon page. That's going to be coming up very quickly, and you're going to see daily videos or more there, plus more great stuff on Facebook as well. If you want to support the show, if you want to get these daily videos, if you also want to win a whole bunch of prizes and books and other goodness, then you can come on over to patreon.com and become a part of the Inspire Nation family. Become a Backstage Pass member. Anything else we should cover, or should we dive into some fun questions?
Let's dive into some fun questions.
I can do that.
Okay, our first question is from Esther, who writes, what do you find is the best way to come back to center?
Ooh, breath. Esther, breath, 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 breath. By far my favorite. And it can be as simple as breathing in and out slowly through the nose. We've been doing a lot of heart coherence work from HeartMath. And so I think Jessica and I would both say after this last, we've been practicing for a good 40 days now, breathing with a count. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in, you can put your hands on your chest, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. By far the fastest, quickest, easiest way to get to center. Now, if you're really stressed or anxious, I might go to tapping as well, and particularly tapping on my heart-centered space. And you could say something though, I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm totally stressed out. I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm totally stressed out. I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm totally stressed out. If you're in public and you need to do this, you could do this with your karate chop point on the bottom of your hand as well. Brilliant, brilliant question. Thank you, Esther.
This is related to that question. Carla asks, by centered, do you mean returning to the present moment?
By centered, I mean centered within yourself, or the calm at the eye of the storm, so that the whole world may spin around you, but you're grounded, you're in your centered place. You could say in the here and now, but really you're just not being spun out emotionally or otherwise by situation around you. Somebody prevents you with an anxious gift. They give you a gift of fear. They give you a gift of cortisol or adrenaline so that you can jump back into that centered space. Yes, here and now has to do with centered. You can certainly do mindfulness exercises. I find them powerful, but not as quick and effective. So you can go, let's say you're driving down the road and you get cut off. You can go to your steering wheel, am I present, and grip the steering wheel and feel yourself on the steering wheel. Feel your butt against the bottom of the chair. Feel your back against the chair. Feel your foot on the floor or on the pedal. This can help ground you into the present moment as well. But it takes a little bit more work and a little bit more time. A powerful tool as well. But I go to the breath first. Yourself?
Now I would go to the breath too, because we learned from practicing heart coherence that the breath is the quickest way. So
yeah, and we've talked about it before, so we won't go into it in too much detail here, but we've used these devices, Inner Balance and M-Wave 2 from HeartMath, where we can literally see a readout of basically how much how centered we are, or how off-centered we are, and what breaths take us away from center, excuse me, what thoughts take us away from center, and what thoughts bring us to center. And if we see ourselves out of coherence when using this device, if we go to mindfulness, it actually takes some work and doesn't get us there very quickly, versus breathe 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 5, we're there.
Right. Yeah, surprisingly without thought.
Yeah. You don't have to go, I'm getting centered, I'm going to think of this, I'm going to think of that. Although I imagine if you thought of cute and fuzzy bunnies, or that would also get you back to your centered place.
Yeah, it would. All right. Okay. Next question.
Yes, go for it.
Our next question is from Diana.
Yes.
Is there any way that bad spirits could try to communicate with you during automatic writing? I tried automatic writing today and got so scared that I thought I had to stop.
It's a brilliant question, Diana. And the method that we teach, in essence, the 5-second version of it is we're praying to the highest level, whether that's God, to the Buddha, Mother Teresa, Jesus, Allah, whomever it is. We're praying to the highest level, and you create a cocoon of love and light around, inside, outside, and infused within yourself. When you create this sacred bubble or this sacred space, there's nothing that can get in, because you're going to the top level. You're going to really the highest level of goodness and love and light than you possibly can. I would always, always, always recommend starting there, so that then whatever comes in is for your highest good and the highest good of all. Anything you wanted to add to that?
No.
So that's right. It's a brilliant question, though. It's one that when we first started getting into it, that was the biggest question I think that people were asking. How do you know that it's coming from the highest level? And it's because you set that vessel, you set that intention right there from the start.
Okay, our next question is from Mia, who writes, how do you know the difference between heart-centered goals and egoic goals?
That is a brilliant, brilliant question, Mia. And that is one that it helps to have a practice of going from KEGO, the voices of the monkey mind, and learning how to drop down into your heart space. So the roughest, easiest answer is how it feels, and checking in. You can even put your hands on your heart and asking yourself how it feels. But really, it's a practice. Automatic writing helps tremendously. Morning pages can help. Journaling, not so much so. That can be an egoic process. Also, going extra quiet, taking time in nature, taking long strolls, taking time to just be and feel into your body, see where you feel it, and lean into that feeling. So sometimes you can get butterflies, and that's not a bad thing. Butterflies could actually be excitement to step forward into it. So you have to, put your hand on your belly. What am I feeling? Where is that coming from? What does that mean? It looks like Jessica wants to jump in here. And so I'm going to, and if not, please forgive me and just go.
Well, I'm trying to process the question myself. So I guess what I would do, I would ask myself, what do I have to gain from this goal?
That's brilliant.
And the answer to that might shed some light as to whether it's heart-centered or egoic.
And I, in automatic writing, I will ask quite bluntly, is this coming from my ego or coming from my heart? And I can even, now that I've been using the heart coherence tool from HeartMath, I can even put it out there. If something is heart-based, there's more likely of a chance that I stay in heart coherence. If it's egoic-based, it blasts it right the heck out of there, which means if we go to that favorite topic of bicycle racing, in my early races, if I thought of bicycle racing, it blew it the heck out of the water after I learned how to get into my heart-centered space in racing and go to a mantra of, thank you for my staying in my heart space. Thank you for my staying in my heart space. And I think of bicycle racing. Now I think of thank you for staying in my heart space. And I stay in my heart space. It's a completely different sport. It's a completely different activity when I'm focused on coming at from a heart place versus coming from it from an egoic place. This is the practice. This is what I do in coaching. This is what I do in the group coaching programs as well. Almost the most important thing that you can practice with yourself is learning how to get out of that egoic place and get into that heart place, which is the opposite of everything we've been taught since we were little kids. Stop daydreaming, get serious, pay attention, make a list, memorize this. All egoic-based activities rather than heart-centered activities. We were never asked, my screen has just tremendously dimmed here. Do you know why it's dimmed or how we can de-dim it? There we go. We're never asked as a kid, we're never like shown different homes or different buildings in class. And instead of saying, describe this building for me, tell me how this building makes you feel. It's a question we're never asked in school. If you took an art class, at least the art classes I took, or an art history class, you're asked to look at the technique, where did this come from, what were the predecessors, tell me about the artist, and on and on and on.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? Brilliant. But did anybody ever said, how does this painting make you feel? So it takes training and time to return to our heart space. I think we've gotten rather good at it. We probably still have a long way to go. We have a whole lifetime to learn, but we have a good idea, you and I now, of ooh, that doesn't feel so good. Or yeah, I want to dive in and find out more. And I watch our language too. It's great. That's a last thought, is watch your language. Just as Jessica was saying, oh, I think this is a good idea. I went on a book tour that was the Gilligan's Island 3-hour tour. That was just a nightmare. And it was because I thought this was the perfect thing to do. I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. I thought I needed to go on book tour. Meanwhile, Jessica is saying,
you're nuts.
And saying,
I quit.
Yeah. She was in her heart-centered space and said, this feels
awful.
Awful. And she was
right.
Yes.
Like always. Just
almost. Almost. You have a habit historically of staying in a heart-centered space more than I do. I feel I've gotten a lot better at that, but I don't know if that's something based on who you are, based on your upbringing, based on past lives, based on being a woman. I can't say what it is, but you are more attuned to your heart and less likely to be led astray by your mind.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it might be part of my design for this lifetime. Mm-hmm. Actually, you interviewed Dan Millman, and according to his numerology system.
Dan Millman is the author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. He's a brilliant, brilliant man, and I love that interview.
He would say that I was designed to be more sensitive and introverted, and part of my mission this lifetime is to find ways of expressing myself.
Cool.
But yeah, I think I tend to be living a little closer here because I spent so much of my life introverted inside.
So you hear it more clearly.
Sorting all this out. And yeah, and you've been living out here more.
And definitely prior to my most recent iteration 7 years ago, maybe more recently than that, I was a very head-based puppy. Even though I meditated on a daily basis, I would still use it for heady gains. So, and now I've learned to better balance that. I don't think about what the next question is to ask. Generally on the show, I feel into it. So brilliant questions. What do we have next?
I actually wanted some clarification about your bicycle racing.
Okay, go for it.
So when you first started out, like before your first bicycle race, when you're deciding whether or not to sign up, was it egoic centered or heart centered or both?
I would go with it's not going to be what you think it is. I'm going to go with an intuitive hit.
Uh-huh.
I feel I should be doing this. I can't even say that that's so much heart-centered. It was just an intuitive hit. It was actually something that chased me down, as you witnessed about 3 weeks in a row, that this activity was chasing me down. I wasn't seeking it out. Go to the bottom of the driveway, there it is. Go to get a haircut, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Go to check an email, there it is. It hunted and haunted me until I finally gave in. So it wasn't like I'm going to go do great and slay the dragons after 15 years off. That wasn't it at all. The ego that I'm talking about is not the ego of I'm the greatest, or I think I'm going to do great, or anything of that sort. My egoic mind was going to a fear-based place. It was going to a place of tremendous fear. And that is what I had to let go of, because I wasn't choosing. I felt I was conscripted or otherwise to do this. It wasn't a conscious choice. It was you have to do this, Michael, or you're just not going to sleep at night. And finally I said, okay, I give up. I'll do this. And then my egoic mind is going, you're going to get killed. It's going to be the end of the world. It's the worst thing you could ever do. That's the ego that I was trying to deal with. In fact, I emailed Grace Smith today, hypnotherapist who we had on the show, and I said, my ego, in essence, my subconscious mind still wants to run a programming that has a disproportional fear to the amount of quote unquote danger or safety involved, which I think comes from my accidents in the past. And so I get to work through that, something I have started doing. I think I've done a lot of work on, but would like to really dive deep in self-hypnosis, or in hypnosis with her. I'm doing a lot of self-hypnosis work on it. Getting to a heart-centered space has taken me out of the fear. The trick is staying in that space. So 3 weeks ago, or 3 road races ago, I did a race. I stayed in that heart-centered space for the first third of the race. First third of the race was beautiful. Couldn't maintain that, crumbled on the inside. Why am I doing this? It's the worst thing, scared out of my mind. The next race, I stayed in my heart-centered space. It was actually a mountain bike race the whole time, and felt like I'd had my best performance of the year. Finished, couldn't have cared. I know my ego could care about what place I did, but my heart couldn't have cared what place I came in. Just soared. And then last week did a road race, my next road race after the one where I had crumbled. And my whole goal was, again, stay in the heart-centered space. Do I want to do well? Yeah. Would I love to win or finish with the lead group? Yeah. But that wasn't my goal. Staying in that heart-centered space changed everything. And I finished. It was such a compressed. One of the beauties of pressure, for lack of another term, whether that is performance, whether that's building or creating something, whatever it is it does something funny to time. So I spent an hour and 21 minutes in my heart space. But it was an hour and 21 minutes where it was a very intense period of time. And it felt like I had done days or weeks or who knows how long of a heart coherence meditation. And it had a lot of stick beyond that day. And you're looking at me funny, like there has to be some interesting point to it. But it was fascinating to me that during this intense period, rather than focusing on the intensity or on the outcome, by staying in my heart-centered space, I did some massive rewiring in an hour and 21 minutes. That's all.
I was just adjusting my glasses.
I see. All right, next question.
They correct for astigmatism that I don't have.
Oh, no. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Let me just say, for everybody who is listening here today, I am wrong. She is right. I am wrong. She is right. Guys, and anyone playing this role, whatever you are, but if you are in my position in the relationship, remember, the mama is always right. And if the mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Anyway, if I'm looking at you funny, it's because I don't see as well through these glasses.
Okay. I wasn't sure what to make out of that.
It's funny how the mind makes up stories.
Well, there are actual studies that show that we find it far less scary for somebody to frown at us or even like bare their teeth at us than we do if they give us a blank expression. That is the scariest for us. We're like, what? And so I'm looking at you.
Blank expression. I must have gotten that from my dad. Maybe that's why you find my dad so
Oh
intimidating.
my God, your dad is so scary. And that might be why. He's old school Chinese, a tiny little Tai Chi master who I'm convinced could still twist me into a pretzel if he needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does look like that.
He does look like that. All right. What else do we have on the fun list here?
Let's see. A lot of great comments.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Let's see if there's any other questions for people. Do you have any questions or thoughts or hopes or dreams or goals or anything that you're interested in for this fall?
You know, it's going to go against everything that you've just talked about.
And this is why we had today on Nancy Levin talking about how our partner automatically gets at our core wounds.
I don't think you have wounding around this.
Meaning that we are always there to,
I'm playing around with the concept of planning less and relying more on cultivating a connection with my higher self and allowing my higher self to guide me.
But that is what we're talking about. What we're talking about is your goal, in a sense, to use a word that you wouldn't use for this fall, is to get more in touch with your higher self and allow your higher self to guide you.
Right.
That is perfect. That is having some idea, some intention of what you want. And you've been doing a lot of reading from Paul Selig, and I have to, or his guides, I have to believe that that's had a tremendously positive impact on you for this next phase of your life.
Yeah, I think that's been a big influence for my fall. So in the past, I'd wake up every morning and I'd come up with my mind map or my list in mind map form about what I wanted to accomplish. And now I'm experimenting with being more free-flowing and tuning in and feeling what is the next thing I should be working on.
I love it. And that's actually a piece I've been working on, or automatic writing has been working on a daily basis, which is saying you don't have to beat a dead horse, Michael. We know what your goals are. You can write them down once a day, twice a day, that's fine. Write them down and let them go. Relax into things. Allow them to come about at whatever pace they are meant to. For instance, I was getting really, not upset, I might use the word disappointed that I haven't been putting out book after book recently, which is, it's in my DNA. It is so what I want to do when the time is right. And instead, I've let go into that. And I'm hearing there will be a time, it will come up soon. You will have the assistance you need. You'll have the time, the space that you need to do this. Don't worry about that now. And I'm hearing that about so many other things, about our show, which has had tremendous growth. But I can see so clearly our goal is to elevate the consciousness of the planet, to elevate humanity, help bring them to the next level, and help raise the vibration of everybody. And that's going to take reaching a lot of people. And what I'm getting is it's coming. You don't have to worry about that and constantly push.
Well, if you were to push, that would lower your energy and lower your vibration, which affects the show. I mean, when we've had like bad weeks or something.
And we're talking emotionally challenged weeks. Yes.
Yeah. And we haven't had weeks like that in a while, not since moving to Colorado, certainly. But when we did, we would see the podcast downloads start dipping, even though you were posting or uploading shows that you recorded prior to the low week.
Have you made the connection of looking at the podcast numbers as a measure of coherence? When we stay in a greater state of coherence and greater heart space, we are less pushing and instead diving into the flow, the numbers tend to go way up, just like you're saying. And when we start to think it, getting out of the heart space, getting into the head space, they tend to go way down.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what I'm looking at for this fall. Is I was talking with Nancy Levin earlier today. She has the book Jump, she has the book Worthy, and her latest on new blueprint for relationships. And she was saying that she was a perfectionist, and an overachiever, and a workaholic. And what she realized is, at the end of the day, whether she pushed or not, what she, quote, needed to do, and I'll put that in quotes, got done. And what I'm realizing is the importance of that word need to get done, which means there are wants. I want to make sure my newsletter is out. I want to make sure my daily wow is out. I want to make sure this. I want to make sure that. I want to make sure this and that. But those aren't necessarily needs. And if we get clear the difference between needs and wants, we can cut ourselves a lot more slack. Our energy goes way up. What we produce goes way up. How we touch people's hearts goes way up. And we're much more kind and loving and gentle to ourselves in the process.
I find that the most important things, the needs, sort of bubble up to the surface while all the other extraneous stuff naturally fall to the side.
Amen to that. But what's interesting is the needs may not be what stresses us out the most. What stresses us out the most is either pushing to get the needs done, or more likely pushing to get all the other things done, which aren't quite as important, but in our mind, we have ranked them super important. And so we slay ourselves on the non-needs, and then we're exhausted for the things that do have to get done.
I find I stress out most about things that create the most fear if I don't get them done. So for a month, it was preparing our books to pass off to the accountant, fearing that he wouldn't be able to work with the data properly.
Which was roundabout way, we'll just leave it at that. But something beautiful came out of it.
Right. And I had a feeling something beautiful would come out of it.
So if you had been able to detach from that fear and say, like I was talking with a coaching client earlier today, and I spoke with Nancy about this as well, which is, I was telling the coaching client that up until this point in life, and this goes for you if you're listening to this as well, you have 100% perfect track record of survival. And the chances are you will have a perfect track record of survival until the last moment that you're here. So we don't really have to worry about that. The worst case scenario is probably not the worst case scenario. So if we can let go of that, that leaves us a lot more energy and bandwidth to take care of what matters most. From an energetic place, going to Nancy Levin today as well, I love her. She was talking about the importance of selfishness. What matters the most is taking care of your heart, taking care of yourself, taking care of your needs, rather than trying to drive the ship and slam that gas pedal to the metal and sacrifice and torture yourself for anyone else. And when you do that and take care of your heart, the most important things tend to resolve themselves. The other things either go away or point you in a healthier direction in life over time.
We have a lot of questions. Can we try and see if we can...
Now that we're wrapping things up, let's see how many we can get to. And I'm going to stay in my heart space and say in the next 7 minutes max, because I would like 10 minutes to go quiet before I jump into my next coaching session, or else I seem a little bit like a squirrel on crack.
Okay. First question from Lisa. I'm trying to manifest home ownership. paying off my mortgage. Any ideas? It's hard for me to picture and feel home ownership in order to manifest it. Any suggestions or techniques?
Yes. So I'm going to go to sports psychologist, worked with Felix Baumgartner, helped people to jump out of hot air balloons from 120,000 feet. When he worked with Felix, who did this Red Bull jump, you can look it up online. Felix was terrified of putting on a spacesuit, which he had to jump out of a balloon 120,000 feet, because the spacesuit was built by others. It was completely out of his control. And so to kind of paraphrase and really take creative license on what the sports psychologist did, is he had Felix go to his comfort zone and visualize no further. First, it was holding a glove, for instance, and just feeling the glove. Then it was putting on the glove. Then it was putting on a little bit more of the suit. So until he felt comfortable each step of the way. So if you're not comfortable visualizing owning that house, let's go to where you are comfortable. Is there a town that you want to be in? Is there a location you'd like to be in? Is there a type of house that you'd like to be in? You can go and visit houses. You can visit houses in your mind. You don't have to carry the visualization the whole way through. Instead, break it down into the most basic elements and get comfortable with one element and then the next and then the next. But you can also bypass the mind. Go to Dr. Crayola. Get yourself some crayons. Draw out your future, paint out your future, finger paint your future. Use whatever creative tool you want to get past the thinking mind and start there with your visualizations, rather than going, I see myself owning a house, getting nervous. I see myself owning a house, getting nervous. Instead, draw a house. Every little kid has drawn a little house with a little path. If it was my house, it probably looked like a condemned gingerbread factory, but you didn't laugh.
I'm focused.
All right.
Something else.
All right. Find a creative way to jump past the block. You can do tapping on it as well. You can do emotion on it as well. There's so many other tools you can use to work on the subconscious, but I would start with where you're comfortable with and play from there. Next question.
Okay, next question from Nate.
Yes.
He has a huge block making long-term goals, 3, 5, 10 years, etc. He's actually productive, but flying without a destination.
Okay. Nate, I need you to get in touch with your heart, because there's no such thing as a block. There is steering and guidance. It's sort of like there's no such thing as procrastination. There's a reason, a safety mechanism inside of you that is preventing you from doing that thing that you feel you need to do. So if you're not able to make a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, or 10-year plan, chances are your heart is saying off track, off path, we need a different direction. Work on getting in touch with the heart. That can be doing the exercises we're talking about here. This can be taking quiet time with yourself. The only goal that you want to have during this time is, how can I become more heart-centered? How can I listen to my heart more? You're going, yeah, that's real warm and fuzzy, but how am I going to put food on the table based on that? The put food on the table is potentially what's causing you to block, to lock up. AKA, if your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, or 10-year goals are somebody else's, are society's, are your parents, are your teachers, and they're in conflict with your higher self, with the inner knowing, you will be blocked until you say, whose is that, or whose is this? This isn't mine, and start to dive deep into yourself. So I would replay this and I would listen. I would go to some of our other Ask Michael Anythings also, and start to learn how to dive into your heart. Then the blocks will melt away. If we had gone 100 miles an hour into starting this podcast or any of the other projects that we wanted to do and only did it from a head place, they would have crashed and burned. Inspire Nation from a head-based place would have been a sports psychology show, a healing show, a health show, a learning disability show. It wouldn't have been Inspire Nation. We would have thought, what would work best? What do we know the most about? Although we know a lot about this, but we would have tried to think our way to the answer. Instead, we went, what feels best? That's where we need to go. So the next step in your life can't be head based. Don't worry if you're wandering. Those pieces are all important in the puzzle. Just work to get in that heart space as much as you can. And I would challenge you, put a routine in place. It doesn't have to be a routine where you find all the answers in life. But if you have a daily routine in place, where you have daily writing, where you have daily meditation, where you have this structure in place, it gives you the structure or the capsule so that you don't feel like you're wandering or lost, but that you're getting in better touch with yourself.
Maybe he doesn't need to have the details right away, but he could think of generalities like how he wants to spend his time.
And I would include on that going to the essence. Always go to the essence. How do you want to feel in the future? Is it more freedom? Is it more time? Is it more wealth? Be honest with yourself. It's totally okay if you say, I want a lot more wealth. Is it more power? Something I talked with Mitch Horowitz about, which can be a positive as well, helping to move the earth. Is it more community? What is it? How does that feel on the inside?
Or more structure versus autonomy.
Absolutely.
So like working for yourself or working for a 9-to-5 steady job. So you know the income's always going to be there. Mm-hmm. Well, sort of always.
Yeah, in today's day and age, it's a relative term. And I always recommend if you're going for a 9-to-5, if that's your path, more training, more training, more training. Make yourself an expert in your field. Make yourself invaluable. I'm convinced that's why your mom in a company that seems somewhat challenged at times at best, that is why she is still there. She doesn't fully understand just how incredibly valuable she has made herself. When you make yourself incredibly valuable, there will always be a job for you. Last note on this, like Bob Proctor in The Secret. You don't need to know how to drive across the country if you want to get across the country. All you need to do is flip on the lights and go 100 yards at a time. The road will show itself to you.
That's really great advice.
Thank you. I know I'm breaking. Oh.
Well, we definitely operated that way because we could not see far into the future on this one.
No, and we're still operating. I hope we are still operating that way because I'm convinced Inspire Nation is really just at the inception. Yeah, at its infancy, at most of where we're going. And I don't pretend to have a clue how in the world we're going to get to where I envision us going. No idea, but I think that's best.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be a lot more stressful if you actually laid out a plan and we were trying to follow that.
Oh my God. And on that note, the best laid business plans in the world typically get thrown out the minute you turn the key on the business and step through the door. I will take one last question, even though we are in that time.
All right. Okay. Mia asked, any tips for a multi-passionate having trouble figuring out what business to start when they love and can serve people in many ways?
Oh, beautiful, 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 Mia. This is going to be going to the heart, going to the heart, and going to the heart some more. I would imagine all of the different futures and see what they feel like, see what they look like. Imagine yourself in the future. In fact, here's a cool exercise, Mia. This one's going to take you a few days. Write out all of the key ones, all of the key futures that you see. Hopefully it's not more than 3, 4, 5, and it's not like 10 dozen. Try to narrow it down based on how it feels. You can literally take an idea and take that, write it down, put it up to your heart and see how it feels. But then what I'd like you to do is write a letter from future Mia in each of these futures, sharing with you how it feels and any thoughts that future Mia has for you. Not thoughts as in, here's what I want you to do, but sharing from her heart how it's gone and any wisdom that she has to offer you. I think this will bring a lot of clarity for you. And then go to sleep at night, go into prayer and ask when you go to bed, ask for clarity. Put it on your heart. Go for walks, go for bike rides, put it on your heart. With Inspire Nation, I like to say that Inspire Nation was birthed by the crickets. I had all of these different ideas, we both did, and I would go for walks, mainly me because Jessica had just come back from Hawaii and was recovering. She had been quite sick there. And I would go into the woods and ask and listen and just see what felt right. So this is a beautiful opportunity, Mia. Understand, You can do no wrong. That's where we get ourselves into greatest difficulty in life, in thinking there's one perfect path, there's one specific purpose. I have one thing that is my overarching thing. I've got to get done above and beyond all else, or I'm a failure. Or in Michael vernacular from Going Up, I'm a loser, or I'm a screw up if I don't get it right. But the truth is, there is no one path. There is no one way. And like the airplane that's off track 99% of the time and still gets to its destination, each piece of the puzzle, whether it's the easy way or the hard way, is beautiful, authentic, awesome, perfect guidance just as it is. Even all the foibles and faux pas and F-ups we may have done in the past, described by others, maybe not by ourselves, but any of these things have been just the guidance we need for exactly where we are. Last thought. I had a mess up, in my opinion, with a publisher many years ago where I felt I chose unwisely. And I beat on myself for years about this. I wouldn't be here. I love where I am now. I'm going to cry. I love where I am now. I love it. I love it. I love it. You can't see these things in the present moment, but they are all on path. So I want to take the pressure off of you. There is no one perfect way. You don't have to get it right out of the gate. You don't even have to get it right 10 steps from now. There is no right. It's all perfect just as it is. Why am I sharing all of this with you this evening or today or whenever you're listening to it? Because I want to get you, instead of brainstorming, I call it heart feeling. I want you to get to thinking about your future with your heart and feeling it out. Not brainstorming, heart feeling. If you can take any action based on this and become more present with yourself and where you want to go in life, what feels right, you will be inspired, on fire, and you are perfectly on track. And if you're not ready for that, just listen to this again and take one tiny action, even if that's to sit in your chair, put your hands over your heart and say, what do I feel like doing next? That's all you need to do. And even that, you don't need to do. Any last words of wisdom before I dive off and get ready for my coaching call?
No.
Send all our love your way. Come support us. Become a patron member, patreon.com/Inspire Nation. You look like you want to say something.
Nope.
And we send all our love your way. Shine bright.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Be well, everyone.